Tengen is a very tall, broad-shouldered, and muscular man with lightly tanned skin and white hair. His hair is of an uneven length, the longest strands reaching his shoulders, and is styled with 3 more notable, shorter clumps arching up to fall as bangs between his eyes and on either side of his face. He has quite thin maroon eyes that appear to slant inwards, each with 1 long eyelash flowing to the far side of his face. He is very attractive, as noted by many women and even Zenitsu. This has led him to use his looks as a tool for his missions where persuasion is needed. Of course, as a Hashira, Tengen is a very powerful and skilled combatant. He's displayed incredible physical feats of strength and speed, being the second physically strongest Hashira in the current generation, as well as being the fastest runner out of all of the Hashira. Tengen was born into a family of 9 children within a Shinobi clan. 3 of the 9 children died before even reaching 10 years old due to overzealous training. With the remaining 6 of his siblings, they were forced to kill each other on their father's orders without them knowing who they fought, as their heads and faces were covered with masks. Tengen realized his father's trick only after he had already killed 2 of his brothers. By the age of 15, 7 of his siblings had already died, leaving only him and his younger brother, who was 2 years younger. As children, his father had forced them to undergo harsh and intensive training as an attempt to save the clan, and influenced them to believe that they needed to dispose innocent lives for their benefit, and to have a wife solely as a means for producing offspring. As his last remaining brother adopted this mindset and didn't feel bad about killing their other siblings, Tengen became appalled and decided to leave the clan permanently. He left the village with his wives without fighting his brother. Uzui's family practices polygamy, so when Tengen turned 15, he must have 3 wives, each of whom were chosen by the head of the clan. After leaving the village with his wives, he would later teach them to value themselves before the mission, going against their teaching as kunoichi. For a while after he had left the clan, it became habit for him to say he was going to hell, but he stopped after Makio got angry with him, Hinatsuru cried, and Suma bit him. He anguished whether or not he should have exterminated the Uzui clan, but he couldn't bring himself to kill his father or brother. Following his departure from the clan, Tengen and his family searched for Kagaya Ubuyashiki to help fight for the Demon Slayers, and he formally joined. Tengen would later go on to climb the ranks of the Corps and become the Sound Hashira before Sanemi Shinazugawa became a Hashira, and when Kanae Kocha was a member. Rehabilitation Training Arc. Tengen was present as a member of the Hashira when Tanjiro Kamado was put on trial. Upon initially meeting Nezuko and Tanjiro, he openly expresses his distaste at the idea of them traveling together, even claiming that he'd cut off his head with style. When Tanjiro explains his reasoning for traveling with the demon, the Sound Hashira becomes intrigued and even requests to see their interaction. However, when the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps informs the Hashira of his acceptance of the siblings, Tengen openly rejects the idea of allowing Tanjiro to remain with Nezuko. Mugen Train Arc. Although Tengen did not participate in any major battles during this arc, he receives news of Kyojiro's death from a crow and expresses his concern that even Kyojiro couldn't defeat one of the upper ranks. Entertainment District Arc. At the beginning of the arc, Uzui enters the Butterfly Mansion and tries to kidnap Naho and Aoi to assist him in the mission. But later, the plan gets changed when Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu rescue the girls and persuade Uzui to take them along instead. On their way to the district, Uzui explains that they're going to investigate the disappearance of his 3 wives. Moreover, he says that each boy would be sent to 3 brothels, the Ogimoto House, Hyogoku House, or Tokido House, to try to gather information on their whereabouts. Upon reaching them, Uzui disguises the boys as girls and drops them off for the mission. In the meantime, Uzui stays low to observe any unusual activity in the district. After the disappearance of Zenitsu, Tengen orders the other 2 boys to come back immediately, sensing danger. He reaches the Kyogoku house and holds the brothel manager hostage, demanding to know where Zenitsu and Hinatsuru had disappeared to. Upon learning that Hinatsuru had been sent to the Kiramise, Tengen presses the manager for more information, and he reveals that Warabihime had been causing the disappearances. When he reaches Kiramise house, he sees Hinatsuru being held by Daki's Obi. After defeating Daki's Obi, Uzui checks his wife and asks her to leave the district. Uzui goes back to the district and hears sounds from underground, where he discovers his other two wives fighting the obi. On the other side of the scene, Tanjiro is in an intense fight with Daki and struggling to control his sister. When Uzui arrives in the building, he easily decapitates Daki, unable to believe that that's the upper rank they were searching for. However, this just annoys Daki, as her head continues to speak and curse Uzui, saying how dare he behead her while she's a member of the Kazuki. In the same moment, Daki cries while yelling that her head is being cut off, seemingly directed towards her older brother. Uzui notices that her body is not crumbling like the other demons. A moment later, an abnormal figure emerges from Daki's body. Suddenly, Uzui notices Daki's head back on her body and quickly makes an effort to strike the figure again. However, all of a sudden, the figure retaliates, appearing behind the Hashira at a great speed. The battle between the Sound Hashira and upper ranks begins. The male upper rank admires Uzui's skin, face, and body for having no scars. He introduces himself as Gyutaro. As soon as he speaks his name, Gyutaro launches his two sickles at Tengen and the two civilians he's covering. Gyutaro witnesses the Sound Hashira defending the couple, which makes him ever more envious due to them venerating Tengen by saving their lives. Tengen then mockingly tells him about his three wives that also adore him, which annoys Gyutaro. He unveils his blood demon art flying blood sickles at the Sound Hashira. The Sound Hashira dodges the attack by breaking the floor on which he and the couple are standing using sound-breathing, first form roar. He advises the couple to run from the situation. Gyutaro applauds the Hashira's effort but says that he can't outrun his attacks. Uzui realizes that Gyutaro can actually control his sickles, and they don't stop until they hit the target. Uzui swings his blades to cut the sickles and wonders why Daki isn't dead, even though he beheaded her a while ago. Maybe if he beheads the older brother, that might kill both of them. Either way, he knows he has to try his hardest. Knowing that no one is in the building, he brings out tiny black beads between his fingers and tosses them into the air. He slices them in half, which results in all of them causing a huge explosion. This brings almost no damage to Gyutaro, but he praises Uzui for his abilities and says that he's never met someone like him before. Uzui scoffs and replies that so many people he's cared about have been taken from his hands and that he can never be as glorious as Rengoku. Gyutaro then asks the Sound Hashira how he's still alive since his blood sickles inflict lethal poison. Uzui explains that he's from the Shinobi clan and he's developed strong resistance towards poison due to his extensive training. Surprised, Daki shouts out that all Shinobi have died out in the Edo era, believing that Uzui is lying. However, Uzui says that Shinobi still exist today, as he had 9 siblings along with his clan, run by his father. Tengen then says that he's in peak condition and ready to dance with the upper ranks. The Sound Hashira engages the two demons, swinging his Nichiren swords, hitting Daki with an upwards sidekick and blocks Gyutaro's blood sickles. He then throws more black beads towards both upper ranks, with them exploding the moment they make contact with their weapons. Gyutaro assesses that the explosions have enough power to harm demons. Tengen extends the range of his attacks by gripping the end of his blade. Gyutaro tells Uzui that the poison is finally taking his hit, as it's already slowed down his movements. Then, Inosuke, Zenitsu, and Tanjiro arrive to aid in battle. Uzui proudly says that the 3 beside him are his prized Tsukuko, and he already knows the weakness of the upper rank, which is to behead both Daki and Gyutaro at the same time. Gyutaro dismisses this fact, saying that many knew this weakness, but still couldn't bring him down. The battle continues as Inosuke and Zenitsu face Daki, while Tanjiro and Uzui fight with Gyutaro. As Uzui continues his skirmish with Gyutaro, Tanjiro protects him from the blood sickles coming towards him and the sashes from above where Daki is fighting with the other two. The battle ends up outdoors and is joined by Uzui's wife, Hinatsuru, who uses a large crossbow filled with wisteria-laced kunai to shoot at Gyutaro. Gyutaro is hit and feels numb, but recovers himself using circular rotating slashes. Gyutaro tries to kill Hinatsuru with his arm, but she's saved by Tanjiro slicing it off. In the process of Gyutaro regenerating himself and defending from the Uzui attack, Tanjiro goes for his neck, but gets blocked. Now with both of Gyutaro's arms unusable, Uzui uses his second blade to deal the finishing blow. However, Gyutaro twists his head, catching the sword with his teeth. Tanjiro notices the demon's flesh sickles growing and holding the Slayer's blades as Gyutaro prepares to unleash his blood demon art. Uzui decides to take the battle away from Tanjiro and Hinatsuru. The strategy suddenly changes as Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro fight together to behead Daki first. After rolling for some time against Daki, they finally manage to slice off her head. Inosuke catches the demon's head and starts to run away to separate the two upper ranks. He runs his fastest, but soon enough gets hit by Gyotaro's sickle right in the heart, much to Tanjiro's horror. The latter started to look around and saw Uzui's body collapse on the ground, missing his left arm. Tanjiro can't comprehend the situation and falls into brief unconsciousness. When Tanjiro wakes up, he sees the whole district in flames, while Gyutaro stands firmly in front of him. He insults Tanjiro and calls him and his team pathetic. He even easily breaks his middle and index finger to make him realize how truly weak he is. But unexpectedly, Tanjiro hits him with a headbutt. Gyutaro then notices something off as he struggles to get back up on his feet. Seeing the kunai lodged in his leg, Gyutaro surmised that Tanjiro used courtesan's sachets to hide the scent of the kunai which he received from Hinatsuru. Tanjiro makes use of the situation, again bringing his sword to Gyutaro's neck. As Tanjiro pushes hard to cut Gyutaro's neck off, his blood slices resist equally. Ultimately, Gyutaro recovers from this shot and attacks Tanjiro in rage. Just when the flesh sickle is about to hit Tanjiro's face, Uzui saves him. Yes, Uzui, who was on the floor, ultimately cracked Gyutaro's musical score. Gyutaro is shocked, as he thought that Uzui's heart had stopped. But Uzui, using his muscles, was able to stop his heart beating for an ample amount of time, which had allowed him to temporarily stop the poison circulation in his veins. Uzui is now matching the speed of Gyutaro, thanks to his musical score completion, but due to the poison, he's not able to go in for the final blow. Gyutaro manages to slice Uzui's left eye as the Hashira stabs the demon's abdomen to give Tanjiro an opening. Tanjiro then finally brings his sword to Gyutaro's neck once again. Gyutaro resists by stabbing Tanjiro in the jaw, but Tanjiro stands fast and focuses all of his strength to go in with purpose. Unknowingly, Tanjiro awakens his Demon Slayer mark and slashes through Gyutaro's neck. Meanwhile, his sister has shared the same fate as him. Gyutaro's body erupts with bloody slices that reach the end of the entertainment district. Tanjiro and Uzui were poisoned, but they're cured by Nezuko's blood demon art. Obanai appears before Uzui and congratulates him for defeating an upper rank, who also shows a little disappointment for losing his left limb and eye to the weakest of the upper-ranked demons. Hashira Training Arc. In spite of officially retiring from the post, Tengen assists the Hashira training along with his wives. He supervises the first level, which is basic stamina training. Infinity Castle Arc. Unfortunately, Tengen didn't play a major role in this arc due to his retirement. He and Shinjiro Rengoku were located in another section of the Ubuyashiki estate when it was taken into Muzan Kibutsuji's Infinity Castle. They stand guard outside the room that Kiriya, Kanata, and Kuina Ubuyashiki are located in, as the surviving Ubuyashikis map out the fortress and give instructions to the Demon Slayers.